Well, hello everybody. I'm the elephant in the room, and we need to talk about Animefan2k9. So if you haven't noticed, I've got my face rig up and running, and this is what I'm going to be using for the time being. Hopefully, I can actually get some bandwidth to support it. Oh gosh. So, anyway, what I really want to talk about today, and I wasn't even sure if I was going to do this. It really took me this long to come to the decision to actually go ahead with the hangout. But I'll post a link to this hangout here near the end of this, so that if anybody wants to come in and comment on what's been said, if anybody actually comes in and watches, they're more than welcome to. Or if you would like to just leave a comment or whatever, that's fine too. So anyway, recently G-Man, and it's crazy how all this stuff seems to start with G-Man. Okay, sorry about that. He posted a video talking about his views on slavery. And that brings the crazy people out with it too. And unfortunately, I got into a comment debate with one of them, Animefan2k9. I'm not saying he's insane or nut or whatever completely. I'm just saying this view of his and of G-Man's and of some other people that there is a version of slavery that is okay is freaking stupid, to say the least. So, while trying to explain this to him and quoting the Bible and showing him where in the Bible it says this, I didn't get a whole lot of answers from him up until the very end. And then he blocked me. So he thinks I can't see his stuff. Which, I mean, I could very easily just get another account or whatever and look on there. However, I just happen to have saved the post right before he blocked me. Except I think he's posted one more thing since then. But I'm not going to get into that because I'm going to get into what he posted. I'm going to screen share this here in a minute. Unfortunately, since he's blocked me, it doesn't open right in a normal viewer, so I've got it open in the OpenOffice webpage, the HTML editor viewer thing. So all the stuff is still there, all the posts are still there, but none of the icons and stuff like that are there, and it's kind of formatted weird. So bear with me a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and do that now, I think. Okay. So anyway, so you can see how bad this is. It's got a lot of craziness in it. Okay. So anywho, if you haven't seen the G-Man video, go ahead and check it out. It's pretty funny. He makes correlations between, or not correlations, but he makes comparisons between slavery and basketball, which is hilarious. But some of the comments are pretty good too, and this was one of them, and I had to say something about it. So let's get down to the actual thing, okay? So you see, Animefan2k9 is the first one that said something, and he said, slavery is the Bible. Slavery and, well, I'm sorry. I'm going to have trouble reading some of his stuff because he doesn't type as eloquently, probably nearly as eloquently as he speaks anyway, but yeah. So slavery, I'm sure that means in the Bible, is not owning the person, it is owning the labor of the person. I don't know how you can own labor because labor is not a physical thing, but whatever. So, anywho, this next guy wrote, who would have thought someone with the stars and bars as their avatar would be slavery apologetic? Okay, great. Anime fan chimes back in. You just proved how dumb you are. Slavery existed far longer under the stars and stripes. Slavery still exists in the USA, moron. So already, ad hominem attacks right off the bat. fantastic. And I'm not saying that belly lover didn't ad hominem as well, but I'm just saying you would expect, I think, like a Christian person to be a little bit more uh, shy about doing that kind of thing, but that could be just me. So, uh, slavery exists in slave centers called prisons. Okay, so prisons are slave centers now. That doesn't make any sense. Prisons is a place where people did something wrong and they sent them to prison. They're not slaves. They are being punished for a wrongdoing. They are being removed from society in hopes that they can be rehabilitated and actually lead a decent life. Not slavery. And actually, in many prisons, they do work and they get paid. They actually get paid. Slaves generally wouldn't get paid. They'd be fed and clothed, but they wouldn't get paid. So, you just proved how ignorant of history. That's not a sentence, anime fan. Sorry. My country wanted to be free from the slave master in Washington, D.C. What? It is hard to free slaves when you are under attack by an army with the intent to murder innocent civilians. Man, you atheists cannot help proving how full of stupidity you all are. Okay, I honestly don't. Can somebody let me know what the hell he's talking about here? Because I don't get that. I really don't. Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to adjust my mic a little bit. Make sure it's not spiking too much. Okay. All right. So here's my first post. I say the Bible specifically talks about purchasing people, not labor, but people. And Animefan2k9 says the Bible is talking about buying indentured servants. Look at the Greek word translated as slave. The slaves in Israel could become part of Israel and gain freedom. Look at how the slaves were treated in nations around Israel. Okay, so here is where we really start to get into things, because he mentions the Greek words. And I tend to, realize that the Greek is not what it was originally written in. So that doesn't really help us. And so I started to look at, how slaves were treated in the Bible, and I decided to. Oh, and here's Detect Oil. Now, I don't know who this guy is. I've never. This is only the first time I started seeing him on YouTube, but the Bible is the holy word of Yahweh. Yahweh doesn't condone the owning of human beings. I don't know if he's a Christian or a troll. Some of the things he said on other posts lead me to believe that he might be a troll, but I'm not sure. So yeah, there's that. But you'll see him again later. Okay, and so I replied, you don't purchase an indentured servant. The person in the servant position requests the servitude as payment for something, and it was for a set number of years agreed upon before the servitude. The slaves in the Bible were purchased and transferable to your children. You are allowed to beat them and sell them to other people. You could also have sex slaves, Hebrew ones at that, as long as they were female, and you could keep them forever. Also, the Hebrew word ebed, I can't pronounce it, I'm sorry. But anyway, that's the way it's spelled. Which is translated to bondman in the King James Version, means an ordinary slave. I don't know why you would go with the Greek when you can have the original. Now, there's some dispute on that, I know, but still. The Hebrew is, I think, a better representation than the Greek, but it's just me. That was written for the Jews originally. So, I'm just saying. So, Detect Oil says so, which is a very awesome response. But anyway, I'm going to get into some Bible verses later, but yeah, indentured servitude, we had a little bit of that in the United States. And there's some other places that it happened. But basically what happens is you want something, and as payment you go, you know what? Look, I don't have money to pay you, but I'll work for you for 5 years or 7 years or 10 years, whatever. And then that happens. A lot of people booked passage to the New World by becoming indentured servants. That's what it did. But it was your choice to do that. Not the case in the Bible. All right. So And then he tells me, I do not trust Hebrew. The Hebrew text has been corrupted, the scribes. I'm pretty sure he means by the scribes. I said the Greek, not Hebrew. Okay, great. I heard what you said, but it still doesn't make any sense because the Greek has already been translated. So you're translating a translation. So what? So then he puts, the Hebrews was not allowed to beat them up. Okay, yeah, I've got a verse that shows it, so we'll see. The slaves were to be treated part of the family. The slaves in Israel could own their own land and purchase their own freedom. Okay, let's start with the beginning. The Hebrews were not allowed to beat them up. Okay, and I'm sure many of you know where I'm going because it's been said time and time again that this friggin' happens. But whatever, we'll go there. And it'll be addressed later again, but I'll still have the passage here. And it says, and if a man smite his servant or his maid with a rod, and he die under his hand, he shall be surely punished. Notwithstanding, if he continue a day or two, he shall not be punished, for he is his money. So, yes, it says, look, you can beat your slave as long as you don't kill him. That's all. And as long as he doesn't die for a day or two. If he dies on day 3, then guess what? You're still in the clear, because it wasn't your fault. It wasn't because of your beating, right? It's right there. And then the slaves were to be treated as part of the family, and the slaves in Israel could own their own land and could purchase their freedom. Okay? Israel could sell slaves to others. I guess sell is the word you're looking for there, dude. If any Israelite kidnap anyone to enslave them, the kidnapper was put to death. Yes, absolutely. That is in the Bible. It does say that you're not to kidnap somebody and sell them into slavery. And where it says that, I'm pretty sure it means another Israelite, not someone outside of your land, but again, different. You keep proving that you do not understand the Bible. Okay, I think he's proven that he doesn't understand the Bible because he doesn't ever offer any like proof of anything until the very end, and then you'll see. So detect oil again. Amen, brother. Okay, great. Fanboy, whatever. So I put Exodus 21, 20, 21, yada, yada, yada. We just put that. And the Bible later on does instruct masters to treat their slaves justly, but let's remember what God's idea of justice is, okay? It's burning people in a lake of fire for eternity. That's God's justice, okay? So justice doesn't mean fairness. It means justice. It doesn't mean niceness. It means justice. So guess what? If you feel that they have done a bad job, you can beat them all you want if it's just in your eyes. Go for it. And I say I'm getting my information straight from the book. Where are you getting yours? What passage in the Bible? Now this is important because I'm going to say this here and it's not going to get answered for quite a long time. What passage in the Bible says for the slaves to be treated as family? Where does it say that they could buy their freedom? Two big questions. Two assertions that he made. I backed up mine with Exodus 21, 20, 21. Let's see if he's going to buy or back anything up. You atheists are forgetting what it's like 3,000 years ago. It took a large family and or group of people to survive. You had no stores to buy your food and to buy clothes. You had to hunt and grow the food you need. You had to make your own clothes and to build your own house and to make your own tools and weapons. Being a slave, aka bondservant, to a wealthy farmer would be better than starving to death. Okay, yes, it is true. However, it would be even better to hire that person instead of making them a slave. You see, just because something is better doesn't mean it's right. It would be better to chop off his head than live him starving to death. Doesn't mean it's right. Slavery is not right. It is immoral to own another human being. Period. People are not property. Illegal. Besides, none of this answers the question that I asked. You atheists are forgetting what it was like 3,000 years ago. You don't even know what it was like 3,000 years ago. You just have books and stuff just like I do. I don't know what it was like. I was never there. You were never there. But it doesn't justify owning people. The same argument can be made for the United States. You don't know what it was like 200 years ago. Stop it. And I said, so you don't have an answer to my question. Thanks for your time. I was going to end it there. Obviously, he didn't want to go any further. So he just backpedaling and backtracking. So, hey, fine, bye. Then he puts, you just keep proving how dumb you are, which makes no sense because he has refused to answer my question. And I've tried to call it a day. And he wants to call me dumb. Again, another ad hominem attack by the Christian in the room. Okay. Detect Oil again. He pretty much answered your question completely. No, Detect Oil, he didn't. And the fact that you don't realize that says a lot about you. And I said, not hardly. I asked for where the Bible says that the slaves are to be treated as part of the family. The slaves in Israel could buy their own land and could purchase their freedom. And again, like you said, according to the Bible, you can punish a slave by beating them as long as you don't kill them or put his eye or tooth out. Or put out his eye or tooth. That's what it says. It's in the book. Like, I'm not... It's just laws. It's a list of laws. Before that is, and he that curseth his father or his mother shall surely be put to death. And if men strive together, and one smite another with a stone or with his fist, and he die not, but keepeth his bed, if he rise again and walk abroad on his staff, then shall he that smote him be quit, only he shall pay for the loss of his time, and shall cause him to be thoroughly healed. Then if a man smite a servant, yada yada yada, and then if men strive and hurt a woman with child, so that her fruit depart from her, and yet no mischief follow, he shall be surely punished according as the woman's husband will lay upon him, and he shall pay as judges determine. A monetary payment for killing an unborn child, because apparently that's not a life in the Bible. Oh wait, we're not into that though. That'll be another time. So he comes back. Just watch the video that I linked to. What video, dude? You didn't link to anything. Knock it off. If you linked in somewhere else in another video or so, I don't know. But you didn't link anything here. So obviously you're confused with another argument that you're having, maybe with yourself. I don't know. But it wasn't here. The master has the right to carry out discipline of the servant. If the servant did something criminally wrong, like stealing, the master has the right to discipline the bondservant. Read the rest of the Bible in the King James. You just keep proving that you lack reading comprehension skills. No, I'm reading it. You're not giving me any proof for what you're reading. So you tell me. Read the rest of the Bible in King James. So your proof is the rest of the Bible. Okay, that doesn't make any sense, but sure, whatever. The rest of the Bible talks about how you can own non-Hebrew slaves forever. How you can own Hebrew slaves for 7 years. Well, excuse me, 6 years, and then on the 7th year they are to be released. Unless you give them a wife and they decide they want to stay with you forever, then there's your forever. Once they make the decision, guess what? They're yours forever. Oh, and if you buy someone's daughter, you keep them forever, even if they're Hebrew. So yeah, there's that. There's a lot in there. Not good stuff. So I put, you keep avoiding my question, which he is. He's not answered yet. And then he puts, I already answered it, dumbass. So now the Christian's calling me a dumbass. Thank you. You have elevated the discourse, sir. Appreciate it. Man, you sure are stupid. Is that all you've got? Like, seriously, you can. I'm coming with facts. You're coming with nonsense, and as freaking just calling me a dumbass and stupid. I said read the King James Version Bible or the English translation of the Greek. I don't even know how to say that. Yep, I don't know how to pronounce it. Sorry. Septuagint. I'll look it up later. New word for me. Yay. The answer is there, moron. Okay, so it's somewhere within the couple thousand pages in the Bible. Cool. Wow. But you don't know where it is, so you're not going to show me. Man, do the research yourself. You are not a baby. Again, I am doing the research. This is what I'm finding. And your ad hominems only show how silly and petty you are. How you're acting is dumb. Be a man and do your own damn research. I had to do my own damn self. No one has ever taught me the Bible. I taught myself with the help of God. Okay, cool. Great. And I'm teaching myself, and I'm coming up with a radically different idea. But you know what? I'm coming from an area where I'm not having to contort my worldview around the book. See, that's the problem here, is that when you start with the fact that the whole Bible has got to be ultimate truth, you are then forced into a position to defend it vehemently against all comers. And that means even the bad parts that don't make any sense, like slavery, like genocide, like killing innocent children, like incest. You have to then back those up. And it's hard because if all of a sudden you were finally came to the realization that slavery is actually a bad thing, it would destroy your worldview, because that means the Bible isn't true. And if the Bible's not true, where do you go? It's sad that your worldview hangs on slavery being okay. So then, at this point, I began to type a response. And apparently he did this next response while I was doing it, so I had to edit it, and I put, okay, hold on, let me read your thing. So you'll see that in a second, but that's what happened here. So let's go through these a little. Okay, so the treatment God prescribed for slaves reflects his concern for the foreigner and the poor, yada, yada, yada. And all this is, I'm sure, off a web page. I'll find the link for it somewhere and throw it on there. But anywho, so he says, Genesis 24, 2-4 means that they did domestic chores and sometimes held responsible, trusted positions. So let's look at Genesis 24, 2-4. And this is a New King James, or not a New King James, but a King James Version Bible that I'm reading from. Genesis 24, 2-4. Nope, wrong page. Okay. And Abraham said unto his eldest servant of the house that ruled over all he had, Put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh, and I will make thee swear by the Lord, the God of the heaven and the God of the earth, that thou shalt not take a wife unto my son of the daughters of the Canaanites among whom I dwell. But thou shalt go unto my country and to my kindred, and take a wife unto my son Isaac. Okay, I can see he's in a important place, but this is one guy with one servant that was in an important place. So this doesn't say that all slaves were supposed to be treated right. This said this guy just happened to do it. Great. It's not even like this is just what Abraham did. It's not even, God's not saying anything. Jesus doesn't say anything. How is this just because somebody did it? No, that's not proof that it's not a law. It's nothing. Nobody's saying this. It's just something that happened. It's not saying make sure that your slaves are like that. No, it's just he just happened to do this. He was getting old too. That's the thing too. It's kind of funny. Maybe he was senile. I don't know. Okay, so if either a free man or a slave is injured, the one who caused injury must provide care for the victim. No, 21:20-21 does not say they must provide care to anybody. It says if he dies, then he'll be punished. And if not, oh well. It doesn't even say he's got to care for him. It just says if he doesn't die in a few days. We've read it. No. And yes, a free man, yeah, you're supposed to care for him. That's what it says. It doesn't say that about a slave. So that's 2 down. If a man harms his slave's face, the slave is free. Exodus 21:26-27. Okay, let's see. And if a man smite the eye of his servant or the eye of his maid, that it perish, he shall let him go free for the eye's sake. And if he smite out his manservant's tooth or his maidservant's tooth, he shall let them go free for his tooth's sakes. Now, I could take this literally and just go, well, unless it's just an eye or a tooth, then he can't go free. But I'm guessing it was meant more as a if you maim your servant, you know, cause deafness or blindness or rip teeth out or rip an arm off or something like that, then guess what? You let him go free because you already did enough. But it does not say that if you harm his face, you can punch him in the face as long as he doesn't die or lose a tooth or an eye or something major. You'd probably even break his nose as long as it's not permanently disfigured. And then it says a fair comparison to the injury of a free man verses 24 to 25, which is eye for an eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burning for burning, wound for wound, stripe for stripe. That's not, yeah, but so, okay, so that's even worse. So for a slave, if you put out their eye, you just gotta let them go free. But a free person, if you put out their eye, they get to put your eye out. So you don't even get punished, you just lose your slave. Did you see that? That's in there. So there's that. An ox who killed a free man or a slave was to be stoned, the punishment of a murderer. Yeah, which is stupid. You don't try an animal for murder. That's dumb. Why would you do that? Don't do that. Okay, slavery and religious rights. So this is kind of fun too. Boxing Day was originally intended for servants of rich England landowners, so the servants too could celebrate Christmas. Okay. Slaves in Israel were not so segregated from the families they served. They celebrated with the family. Oh, okay. Passover was to be celebrated by the slaves if they were Jews or proselytes. So Exodus 12:44. But every man's servant that is bought for money, when thou hast circumcised him, then shall he eat thereof. And this is talking of the Passover. And the Lord said unto Moses and Aaron, this is the ordinance of the Passover, there shall not stranger eat thereof, but every man's servant, yada yada yada. So basically this is saying is when you buy a servant, you are to circumcise them, and then they can eat the Passover. Okay. So when you buy somebody, they are forced to have a circumcision and then celebrate your religious views. Yeah, that sounds like a great thing. I'm so glad we don't do that today. Gosh, how is that? It's not a good thing. If they're not, it doesn't say if they're not. They are made to be circumcised. It's just that way. That's crazy. Observance of the Sabbath was for everyone. Free, slave, hired, and foreigner. Everybody got a day of rest. The Sabbath isn't a day of rest. It's a day where you are not allowed to work and must keep it holy, which means worship God. If they don't believe in God, then guess what? They don't need to. Or if they don't believe in that God, say they believed in Baal. Guess what? No, doesn't matter to them. Exodus 28 to 11. Okay, let's see. 28 to 11. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor. Oh, yeah, it's a commandment. And the 10 Commandments were for the Jews anyway. Like, really? That's not the. No, I'm not. No, that's dumb. Okay, a slave privately owned by a priest could partake of the food given as an offering to the priest. Leviticus 22:11. But if the priest buy any soul with his money, he shall eat of it, and he that is born in his house, they shall eat of his meat. So let's see. This is the best thing that they've been allowed to do, eat some meat. Great. He got one. Yay! I looked through most of these before. I guess I missed that one, but yeah. Oh crap! He can do something that strangers and hired servants can't do. Okay, great. So you can eat some food. He's still a slave. You don't you understand? He's still a slave. If you had a choice between being a free man who couldn't eat some freaking meat and a slave. Okay, servants were to celebrate the Feast of Weeks, Deuteronomy 16:11. Okay. And thou shalt rejoice before the Lord thy God, thou and thy son and thy daughter and thy manservant and thy maidservant, and the Levite that is within thy gates, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow, and that are among you and in the place. So was everybody else. Like it's not like you like they're no, it's everybody, dude. Like everybody. And the feast of the booths, Deuteronomy 16:14. And thou shalt rejoice in thy feast, thou and thy son and thy daughter and thy maidservant, and the Levite and the stranger and the father. Again, everybody who's within thy gates. It's just the fact that they're within thy gates. It's not preferential treatment for servants. It's just their fact that they happen to be there. Opportunities for freedom. Okay. A Hebrew slave was to go free after 6 years. Yes. Yes. A Hebrew slave was. Fine. Great. Not arguing that. Never did. I think I even mentioned that, but whatever. And a Hebrew slave was to go free at the year of Jubilee. Okay, yeah, again, got it. Not arguing that. There's more than just the Hebrew slaves, though. There's the foreigner slaves, too, to deal with. A foreign slave who escaped to Israel was to be sheltered and not to return to slavery. Okay, again, so what? We taught the North wouldn't return slaves, at a certain point when they were freaking run from the South. So what? They were still slaves. They had to run away they had to escape. It says escaped. Escaping somewhere is leaving somewhere you don't want to be. They had to escape to Israel through whatever. No. Note that there is nothing in the Old Testament law that prohibits an Israelite slave from running away. No, but his master beating the crap out of him if he does. Slavery was advantageous for the poor, and apparently if they thought they could do better elsewhere, they could leave. No, they can't just leave. They had to escape. It's not like they're just like, hey, bye. No. If they tried to do that, they would probably get beaten. The slave could be apprehended if no. Foreign slaves were after 6 years. Foreigners were not allowed to own land in Israel. Yeah, I know. I told you that, but you didn't believe me. And it would have been next to impossible for them to earn a living on their own. To release such slaves against their will may have been cruel. What? What? This is the same arguments that people had against the frickin' slave trade here. Are you hearing yourself, man? Stop the insanity. It even says in the Bible that the Jews were not to begrudge the freaking Egyptians for their slavery because they were in a foreign land. Basically, if you are in a foreign land, it's your fault for being a slave. That's what the Bible says. Too bad. Your fault. Sorry. Exodus 21:4-6 is a hard passage. And I love, because he didn't read this. He just copied pasted, I swear, it seems like. Because Exodus 21:4-6. If his master have given him a wife, and she have borne him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her master's, and he shall go out by himself. So it's like, oh, your wife and children, guess what? You gotta leave them. Bye. You want to be free though, right? Goodbye. And this is after the 6 years that the Hebrew slaves are supposed to be kept. And then it says, and if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master and my wife and my children, I will not go out free, then his master shall bring him unto the judges. He shall also bring him to the door, or unto the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear through within all, and he shall serve him forever. 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 That's a long time. These are the scenarios that would make this law sensible. Nothing makes slavery laws sensible, guy. Sorry. The slave's wife was an adult debt slave who still owed time on her commitment. Why does that make it sensible to... It doesn't matter. Even if none of these apply, he still could keep them. And again, this brings up more stuff about the fact that you could just buy somebody a wife and crap like that, which is whatever. Okay. You know what? I'm moving on. Yeah, the slave's wife is actually born to a wife, but her children were not eligible for inheritance. Again, yeah, just crap. More crap. More stuff about the, here's the family values of the Bible, by the way, right here. Female slaves. A girl sold to a family for the eventual purpose of being married into that family had different rights. Exodus 21:7-11. Now, and if a man sells his daughter to be a maidservant, she shall not go out as the maidservant. If she pleases not her master who hath betrothed her to himself, he's buying somebody to marry. Maybe against her will. Maybe not, but maybe. That's not being married into the family. That's like, I'm taking you for my wife. Too bad. Then shall he let her be redeemed, to sell her unto a strange nation. He shall have no power, seeing he hath dealt deceitfully with her. So he can't sell her to somebody else. And if he hath betrothed her unto his son, he shall deal with her after the manner of daughters. Okay. So basically, he can buy somebody's daughter and be like, "Yep, no, you're my daughter now. Screw you, whatever." Or you're my wife. That's even worse though, because then he can just do whatever the hell he wants, and she doesn't get anything from him after he doesn't get inheritance. Well, women didn't get inheritance anyway, so it doesn't matter. And if he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish. So guess what? He can have another wife and still has to do the same thing with her. Again, this is not family values, and I don't see why this makes it any different of them being slaves. They're still slaves. They're still forced against their will. Forced against their will, man. Not like this one. Leviticus 19:20-22 is puzzling. Why would that be? Ye shall keep my statutes. Thou shalt not let thy cattle gender with... Wait, is that? Leviticus 19. Oh, I meant 19. No. And whosoever layeth carnally with a woman that is a bondmaid betrothed to a husband, and not at all redeemed, nor freedom given to her, she shall be scourged. They shall not be put to death because she was not free. So if they commit adultery with her, they're not punished, but she is. Mm-hmm. Doesn't make any sense. Whatever. And Israelites versus foreigners, yes, and this is where you go into the differences between Israelite slaves and foreigner slaves. But here's the main point, okay? The foreigner slaves were slaves. They weren't freaking servants who got paid. They weren't damn, family members. They were property. They were passed down through the generations. Their children were their property. Their wives were their property forever. They didn't have to let them go. They could beat them when they wanted to. They could punish them. They could keep them in chains. They could do whatever the hell they wanted. And that's wrong. And it's in the Bible. And it's condoned. It's not ordered, but it's condoned. It says you can do this. Some people categorically condemn the Bible because it does not call for the universal abolition of slavery. Yeah, it should, though. But they don't understand the cultural conditions that made slavery a sad necessity. No, slavery is not a necessity. No, No. Masters did not own their slaves. No, yes, they did. They absolutely did. It passed on to their children. Freaking, they owned the slaves' children. Yeah, no, they did not lease their work. It was forever. Sorry to say. It's what the Bible says. It's what the Bible says. It's in here. Leviticus 25:39. Let's see. Okay, that's the brother. 47 and 55. Okay, the Leviticus is always where it talks about, or also where it talks about. Is that which one is it? I love this. This part of my Bible is just various laws and ordinances. That's what it says at the top. But yeah, it says in the Bible that you can have freaking, um, you can have slaves that are dwelling in your land that aren't Israelites. You can keep them forever. That's not right. It says you may purchase male or female slaves. You may. You may. Here's the King James Version. Both thy bondsmen and thy bondmaids, which thou shalt have. That's shalt have. You shalt have them. You will. That's not you may. You will. You shalt have. Shall be of the heathen that are round about you. And it refers to them as heathen. The lesser people among you. Yeah, they're your slaves. You can treat them however you want. Of them shall ye buy bondsmen and bondsmaids. Moreover, of the children of the strangers that do sojourn among you, of them shall ye buy, and of their families that are with you, which they are begat in your land, and they shall be your possession. The King James Version, and they shall be your possession. That's what it says. It's in the Bible. Read it. It's there. So sorry if you don't like it. It's there. And I replied, you posted while I was typing. Hold on, I need to read. Basically, I had put, you didn't say anything again, yada yada yada. But then he posted that big long thing, so I had to read it. So bam. And then he puts, the elephant is about to get blocked, and he sends me a link for Ephesians 6-9. So hold on a minute while I go to Ephesians. I don't have the easy little tabs here, so I can find my spots. Okay. Ephesians 6:9. And ye masters do the same things unto them, forbearing, threatening, knowing that your master is also in heaven, neither is there respect of persons with him. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Yeah, okay. It says, don't threaten them. And this was all the way, there's like, there's nothing left. There's about 100 pages left. All right. But I like the elephant is about to get blocked. That's a good one too. So then I put So I get nothing, followed by a wall of text. I'll not go into depth about it all just yet, for I don't have the time tonight. That was last night. I will note that Leviticus 25, 39, 46 was the closest you got to talking about treating them like family and is completely misrepresented. It shows a special circumstance of thy brother that dwelleth by thee, not of all slaves. The special treatment is only of the Hebrews. Foreign slaves were kept as well, and they were not offered such compassion. Okay, we've gone over this all. And like I've said, it's a sad state of affairs when you need to argue that slavery is moral to be able to keep your faith. Slavery is immoral. Doesn't matter whether it's based on race, which it is in the Bible. Doesn't matter if it's based on gender, which it is in the Bible as well. It doesn't even matter if it's based on economic standing. Owning another human being is wrong. Human beings are not property. Do we understand this? If not, we can go into more detail another time. Or you can come join me at one of these and we can discuss it. But either way, this is my point. There's a lot of immoral stuff in the Bible. Slavery is one of them. And to sit there and defend it is gross. And when you say somebody doesn't know about the Bible and they're quoting it to you, and that's what it means, you, sir, do not understand the Bible. Because unfortunately, what you are forced to do, like I said earlier, is twist the words into however it makes it seem okay. You're finding the reasons to make it okay. I'm reading what it says and determining that it is not okay. There's a difference there. You're coming from the position that it must be okay because God says it's okay. Since God said it and God must be all good, then he said slavery is okay, so slavery must be good, right? So let me find every fact that I possibly can to make this fit my view. And this is what the slave owners did. This is what the slave owners in the United States did. Working for somebody is not slavery. Indentured servitude is not slavery. But guess what? It's still bad. Because what happened with indentured servitude, and the reason why some people think of it as slavery, is because people tried to make it look like it was indentured servitude, and they were really owning slaves. It's still slavery when that happens. It's not indentured servitude anymore. So, anyway, that's a little tangent. So, if you want to come talk, let me know. But apparently you're not interested in the discussion, seeing as how you blocked me. And I thought I was pretty cordial. I put forth my points. I put forth my evidence as found in the Bible, the thing you think is completely true. So, it's on you. Now you probably never see this. I'm not famous. I'm not big into the groups yet, so this will probably go by the wayside, but maybe one or two people will see it, and I'll point you to it. And maybe, just maybe, you'll look at yourself critically and realize that an all-powerful, all-good God could have found a way to not own people as property. Have people own other people as property. But he didn't. If he's true. If he's real. According to the Bible, he didn't. So that means he's either immoral or non-existent. Pretty sure it's non-existent. Well, and the character that he portrays is still immoral too. So now I have not made any claims in this about my morality. So before you go attacking that, realize I have not made any claims about my individual morality against God's. I am simply stating what God has allowed, and that what God has allowed is wrong. So, anywho, I'm going to end it there. I'm going to post this link real quick to see if and there's nobody watching anyway, so I doubt it's going to happen. But I'm going to post this link real quick and see if anybody happens to come by. Let's see. So I'm going to post it here. Why? I think that works. And there we go. So it's there. I'm going to wait a couple of minutes and maybe some basic chit chat, but otherwise this part's going to be cut off if nobody decides to come in. So anyway, how do you like Face Rig? Face Rig's pretty cool, huh? I know it's got a little bit of lag to it, but I think it's pretty neat. They need an elephant, though, so I can actually be the elephant in the room instead of the tiger on the mountains. But I know the whatchamacallit was already taken, so Sokka. Shout out to Sokka. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, I don't think I'm getting anything. So we'll go ahead and end it there, and then upload it. And if you like it, if you liked what I said or agree, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share, do all those fun things. See more in the future. Thanks, everybody.